Hello everyone and welcome back to Clinical Cousins YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over some of the key concepts that we need to have a firm grasp of to understand the autonomic nervous system. So we must know that the nervous system is really divided into our central nervous system, which is our brain and spinal cord, and it is also divided into the peripheral nervous system. So anything, by definition, anything that is not the brain or spinal cord is the peripheral nervous system when we're talking about nerves. So our central nervous system consists of our brain and spinal cord, while our peripheral nervous system consists of our somatic and autonomic nervous systems. So soma, this prefix here, means of the body, and our somatic nervous system is under our control. So this is the part of the nervous system that we control, our muscles. So the neuron cell bodies in our spinal cord send out impulses via motor neurons, and these motor neurons eventually connect to our muscles. So we know that the special connections between our motor neurons and our muscles are called neuromuscular junctions. Basically, what's happening is we have an acetylcholine release onto our muscles that basically increases the calcium and causes a contraction of the muscle. So we go over that in great detail in our other videos. So if you haven't seen our video on excitation, contraction, coupling in skeletal muscle, then go check that out so you'll have a better understanding of this video and how the somatic nervous system works. So now the important thing that we're going to talk about today is the autonomic nervous system. So it still involves nerves, but it is not under our control. So instead, our autonomic nervous system helps regulate things like our heart rate, our pupils, how much we sweat, our blood pressure, our respirations, even our GI system to an extent. But we must remember the GI system has its own separate nervous system. Very complex, but we'll go over it in another video. But basically, this is controlling our vital signs. This is the stuff that we don't think about consciously on a regular basis. So basically, the autonomic nervous system controls the basic functions of our body. Think, autonomic is automatic. It's not under our conscious control. So this autonomic nervous system is divided into two systems: the sympathetic, or the fight or flight, and the parasympathetic, which is our rest and digest. Another term you might hear is feed and breed. So basically, our body is in a constant tug of war between these two systems. The sympathetic nervous system was developed to help us respond to stressors. So if we see a bear in the woods, then our body would see the bear. The eyes are really right here. But our body would see the bear, and our sympathetic influence in our body would be much greater than our parasympathetic. So when this happens, when the sympathetic nervous system has more influence, our pupils will dilate, our mouth would become dry, our heart rate, our blood pressure, our respirations would all increase drastically. Our blood would just be flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone. It would increase its blood glucose, and it would be flooded with adrenaline, also called epinephrine. Our GI motility would slow, and so on and so forth. So the point here is the sympathetic nervous system would get us ready to either fight a bear or run away from the bear, which would probably be the better option out of the two. So the parasympathetic nervous system is the other end of that spectrum. So what does the parasympathetic nervous system do? Well, it's still autonomic, it's still automatic, but this system has more influence when our body is resting, it's digesting food, it's basically not in a stressed state. So let's say we made it safely away from the bear, it's hours and hours later, and we're eating a nice Thanksgiving meal. So our parasympathetic nervous system would have more influence. Our pupils, they would constrict, our heart rate, our blood pressure, our respirations would all decrease, our skin wouldn't sweat, our GI system would be secreting and moving at full tilt, that peristalsis. This is the effect of the parasympathetic nervous system. It is used for resting and digesting. Our body is not under stress. So, how does the autonomic nervous system carry out these actions? Well, there is this nervous system is sort of like a cable system that runs from our spinal cord to our affective organs. So it kind of looks like a potato, but I've drawn a heart right here. And basically, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system use the same cable system with just a few little tweaks that we'll go over in another video. But we must know that in each system, we're always going to have a preganglionic neuron or a pre-G neuron. We're going to have a ganglia. We're going to have a postganglionic neuron, and we're going to have our target tissue or affective organs. So we're going to have 4 parts that these systems are going to use to influence our body. So think of this system as just a way to send messages from our brain and spinal cord to our organs. We're taking in information. This is how our body responds to the information that we take in through our senses. So what have we learned today? So we've learned that our nervous system is divided into specific categories. So our central nervous system is our brain and spinal cord. Our peripheral nervous system is divided into our voluntary somatic system, which controls our muscles. And we know that our peripheral nervous system is also divided into our automatic nervous system, which is involuntary. So this contains our excitatory sympathetic nervous system and our relaxing parasympathetic nervous system. So we already know that our sympathetic nervous system has more control or more influence when we are experiencing stress, and our parasympathetic nervous system takes over when our body is not stressed, when we are relaxing, eating, sleeping, we are feeding and breathing, we're resting and digesting. That means that our parasympathetic nervous system has more influence. So hopefully this gives you a general overview, and in our next videos we're going to sort of pick apart the details so we can have a better understanding of how our body regulates its basic functions. As always, thank you for taking the time to learn with us today, and remember to like and subscribe for more content.